Hi guys, how we doing? We didn't actually even pre-agree he was going to do the intro today, did we?
No. But I think it's becoming a slight default that it's you.
Oh, okay, I'll take that. That's because, in case you haven't noticed, guys, welcome to the Winning Edge podcast. As always, I'm Rick. This is John. As in case you haven't noticed, I'm the short, gobby one. John's the big hench one. But yeah, it's me with a big mouth in it, mate. Definitely.
Absolutely, always. I won't have it any other way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why we do
Uh,
this?
yeah, how's life, mate? How you doing?
It's good. It's good. If five or six, followers happen to watch this on YouTube, I have a confession to make. We've done about 11 or 12 episodes, maybe now,
Yep.
and I've just found a button on this portal thing that we use for the podcast that actually improves the quality of the video. So if this looks any better today, first of all, let me know. Well, second of all, I found it yesterday and I was like, oh, it can shoot in 1080, not whatever the fuck 720s. I don't know what these numbers mean, but apparently this
Oh
one's better.
dear.
So
Oh
anyway,
dear. Oh dear.
if you're on
Mate,
Spotify or
mate,
Apple, it doesn't fucking matter. You can't see it anyway.
even I'm about to make a statement here that could backfire on me, but I was going to say even I'm not that much of a dinosaur, but I definitely am. So 1080, if I get this right, is HD,
Yeah,
and 720 is not HD, normal.
yeah.
I mean,
So,
it's not going to make me any better looking or grow my hair back.
no,
So
no. In fact, it might just zoom in, even more on how fucking old we look. But hey,
all the wrinkles and whatnot.
yeah.
That's kind of about today. A little bit about today's topic, isn't it? You know, we're gonna talk a little bit
Or
about
being old and fucking tired.
being old and tired and being wrinkly. Yeah, definitely. But we literally before we pressed record, didn't we? We were talking about how everyone we speak to now is busy, and everyone you talk to, whether you know across the pond over there or I'm here in the UK. Everybody seems to be busy, don't they, mate?
Yeah, and again, I think like I said, you were talking about this just before we started, and it's not this this uptick in everybody being busy is not necessarily transferring consistently. I think to always, I guess, making more money. We tend to think that being busy is a good thing, which it should be, but I think the way the world and business has kind of changed, especially our businesses, it's not a consistent flow necessarily of money. It's either for my business, it's relying on new sales, it's relying on renewals. Pretty much those are our main two things. Um, and you can be doing all the same work. In fact, sometimes more, especially if things are a little slow, which this time of year in the US is for us. It's tax season, so everything fucking shuts down. Um, you're doing more if more work, and less money's coming in, which is
Mm-hmm.
fucking stressful because you're kind of like, well, hang on, shouldn't doing more equal more? Which is
Well, yeah, we
oh,
make that
right?
assumption, don't we?
That's what everyone says: hustle, grind. If you want
Mm.
everything you want in life, do it. It's like, well, yeah, and then there's kind of like, okay, are we? Is the hustle and grind paying off? Is it? And again, I think sometimes, I know for me, I don't know about yourself, but I have to try to zoom out and look at things in the bigger picture, because if I just
Yeah,
look at the most recent months, and I'm guilty of this, I'm very fucking in the moment. Like, you know, poor month, fucking doom and gloom. What the fuck? Fucking going down a fucking negative rabbit hole. One or two good months, and I'm off fucking buying whatever, thinking that life's good. And you've got to be careful of that when your revenue, as a business, if your revenue is not consistent,
mm-hmm.
then you really have to kind of ride the waves. But then also look at things, which I've started to do a lot more now with the business as much as possible, especially now I've been going a few years. I can look at the trends from last year and go, okay, although this was a poor month, are we trending up? Is it better than this month
Yeah,
last year?
yeah,
Yes, that's a positive. Um, what do the next few months look like? What did the next few months look like last year? So, okay, judging on the trends, going into a higher part of the season, and things should pick up and get better. Or opposite, we've been having a higher, you know, peak to the season, but now we know that the next couple of months is dipping down, and just trying to zoom out and see the big picture and understand that really, instead of kind of quantifying, I think, as you were saying earlier, the work on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, you end up having to quantify the work as a whole over
Yep.
a quarter
Yep.
or a year, and be like, right, okay, what did all that work achieve?
Mm-hmm.
And are you in a better spot that, going into your whatever next year is, and whenever that work is for your business and whatnot, than you were the previous year, and is things going in the right direction? Because it's very easy to just fucking go month to month, and be in a hole on a bad month, be in a great mood on a good month, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been very guilty of that, and that's probably the most stressful thing I think I have, and I'm not fully out of that mindset. I find it very difficult on a poor month. I start fucking stressing out about what we're going to do, and what if that happens next month, and da 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 da. But we tend to, the work that needs to be done, we know what that work is. We know what adjustments need to be made. We know what things we need to try. They don't always work immediately, but it's not super complicated. It's just nothing's a guarantee. So you tweak your ads, you put out a new offer, or you make some changes to draw more people in. It's just not a guarantee. Um, and on top of that, you just have to keep working, keep your standards high, and keep fucking doing what you do. But yeah, when it comes to coping mechanisms, I'm sure we'll start to delve into that a little bit. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of research on that stuff at the moment because I fucking need it. you might be a little bit further ahead of me than that, breaking arrows with your throat and all that stuff.
Yeah, all that jazz. You know what I mean?
I might have to start that next. I'll probably fucking slit my throat by accident.
Yeah, don't do that,
No,
mate.
no. Well, fix stuff for a while and fucking give everyone a bit of peace.
Yeah, but yeah, don't do that though. Don't do that. Be careful which arrows you use. Yeah, we absolutely we talk. We talk off sort of recording and all that kind of stuff about different themes, and we mentioned, didn't we, about how, yeah, like everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. Everybody's certainly in the States. I mean, obviously, the States is a big country. It's a bit of a sweeping statement here. But anyway, it seems to be all doom and gloom, doesn't it? And economy's not so great. And,
Please
all
don't
that.
get me started on politics because, yeah, I do a whole fucking podcast and I would probably upset a lot of people, but this country is the most, when it comes to the way politics works here, it's the most
Hmm.
baffling fucking place on earth. I've never done anything like it. I've never been into politics in my life
Yeah.
until I moved to the US. But
Yeah.
when you look at how the US works, you're like, oh my God. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's,
rough at the moment.
yeah, I mean, obviously there's certain stuff we can't say that we've talked about off air as well, but
I
it's yeah, yeah, I can't. Some of the things that I've just been
can't.
telling you about,
No.
but yeah, I think overwhelms a big thing now when you're talking to people, and the word is stress, isn't it? Everybody's got a lot of stress, and
Yeah,
and that's the kind of the theme for today. Really, is that um, we know that some stress is positive stress, eustress. It sends us on the upward curve, doesn't it? That a bit of stress improves performance physically and mentally. But what's happening now is people's stress levels now. It's not just the odd day anymore, is it? It's not just the odd hour or the odd conversation or whatever. It
no,
seems to be we're living in this perpetual state of like you just touched on there, your brain kicking in, that fight or flight kicking in, you're
yeah,
catastrophizing, going, what if it's like this every month, da 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 da? Because then all you're hearing every single day in the news, in the media, on socials, whatever, is that everything's a fucking catastrophe. So
yeah,
the human response to that is, for most of us anyway, I think if you're a hard-working kind of person, is to, I've got to work harder, I've got to roll my sleeves up, I've got to do more. And actually then I think a lot of us are getting really caught in that distress state, and people are struggling. People are really, really fucking struggling. And obviously it sounds terrible, but we that's our business, and it is we help people.
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, it's definitely more and more common, and it might be for those people listening, and it might be something that they can relate to. That stress levels are through the roof now, aren't they?
yeah. I mean, I mean, I can only talk from my own experience, and I think there'll be a lot of people either getting close to where I've been. I guess over the last three couple of years, I don't mind telling people you know what I've kind of, I guess, gone through or trying to learn, or maybe even like ignore. But I think the first from a lot of stuff I read, and I read a lot of it because I've been going through it myself. I'm trying to kind of justify that it's okay and I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. This is what happens to people or can happen to people. And overwhelmed is probably by far, I think, the best word to use, because to a certain degree we get caught up in more clinical-ish words, I guess, depression,
Mm,
anxiety, panic attacks, and all these
mm,
things. We just keep it. Life can cause all this, but if we keep it to business, I think anyone starting out running their own business, I think during that first, I would say 10 years, and I'm in year 6 now
yep.
of running my own business. There comes a point, dependent, I guess, on how the business is going, of where you get very overwhelmed. You are working your ass off, or you feel like you are, and maybe things are not always going the way you want them to be. It's not created quite the life you thought it was going to create, and we get into a bit of a tailspin of like, what the fuck am I doing all this for?
Yeah.
We kind of just forget why you wanted this type of business in the first place, what this lifestyle actually means to you. Is it even creating the lifestyle that you want? And this is something I've come back to a lot. I've spoke to you a lot about this sort of stuff. And the only thing I can pinpoint a little bit is we're so driven. People that want to run their own business, by and large, are very driven to run their own business.
Yeah.
Only it's not as easy as we all think it is. It gets
Yeah.
very, very difficult. And then we get stuck in things where sometimes you go through patches where you're like, okay, maybe what I'm actually trying to achieve with my business and what I'm trying to achieve with my life is not as aligned as I thought it was. And then we can start this perpetual motion of, questioning. And I think age can come into this as well. It's not a coincidence. A lot of people that start their own business in their 20s might not go through this as easily, because so much stuff's like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ignorance is bliss, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't deal with the kind of things I deal with now in my 20s, so I don't really know. It caught me off guard that, having been through all the things I've been through in my life that a lot of people would say are stressful, that I coped with very well, dealt with, got on with, moved on from, and then it's taken running a business to fucking have me over a little bit mentally. Like, when I've always prided myself on being physically strong, obviously, but more so than that, most people that know me see me as being mentally pretty strong. And yet, the
Hmm.
one thing that's fucking had me over mentally and had me questioning that mental strength more than anything is running a business
Yeah.
and having moments, and times, even like now, where I'm kind of like, what the fuck is all this? And get your judgment gets clouded. You can't make decisions. And I was reading some stuff the other day, not to go off on a tangent, which it seems like I'm doing, on anxiety, like panic attacks. And someone said something the other day, and I can't remember what the conversation was about. And they brought up, like nervous breakdowns,
Hmm.
and talking in a little bit more detail about that. I'm like, what is a fucking nervous breakdown? Like, I've seen people have real physical nervous breakdowns where they break down, uncontrollable crying, shaking, da da da. And sometimes that's because someone's maybe had all that before they've come off their medication, da da da. Like, so I've always seen a mental breakdown as this bang, one thing, everything comes crashing down in one moment.
Yep.
And I started doing a lot of reading on it, and they're not all nervous breakdowns are like that. You
Yep.
could be having a nervous breakdown and still functioning.
Yep.
They can last weeks,
Yep.
months. And when
Months.
you
Yep.
start looking at what, like, the signs, apart from uncontrollable sobbing, which is something I don't think will ever happen to me, I don't know. every other fucking sign of a nervous breakdown. And look, don't get me wrong, this is like Googling, I've got a fucking, a spot on my back. What is it? And it goes, well,
Yeah.
it could be cancer, it could be this, it could
Cancer.
be this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I do get that when you Google a lot of this stuff, it's going to give you a ton of things that you're like, fuck, I'm feeling like that. I'm feeling, but you look at this list, you're like, fuck. And then you start going like, fuck, am I having a nervous breakdown? Am I in that? And it's like, probably not. But you are in this overwhelmed state. And I think that's why I like this word is if you start taking a look at, anxiety, depression, and I have had a lot of anxiety over the last few years, nervous breakdowns and all these things, you go, right, okay, my brain is somewhere in all this.
Yeah.
While
Yeah.
some days are good, some days are not,
Yeah.
you know, I'm and I think big warning signs is when you start to, and this is where we're going to tie it back to, your post from the other day, your mental and physical health is all kind of linked, and you've got to do both really to be seen as healthy. But I do think there's a point if you're not too careful where neither are very aligned. And I think the if you start to find yourself not enjoying the things that you used to enjoy or the things that used to ease your stress, which
Yeah.
would be training,
Yeah.
and you start going through phases where all of a sudden someone like me is not enjoying training so much, someone like me is lost interest in all the things I love doing, you're like, okay, shit,
Yeah.
I have to do something about this because that is definitely not me. Yeah, I can fuck up and make mistakes in work. I can get things wrong. I can do all normal-ish stuff and go, okay, that's me. I've made those mistakes before. That's on me. That's good. Let's fix this. Let's do that. And your business can be having problems, and you can be part of the problem, but you can also be aware of that and seek to fix it. I
Mm-hmm.
think when stuff's going tits up, for want of a better way, outside of it, and the things that you used to love to do that offset all your stress, you're now not loving anymore, then you have a big problem. Then
Yeah.
you've got to really start being like, okay, shit, what is the issue? What's the problem? How do I seek help? How do I look to fix that? And I've took that a little bit deeper than I think we meant to go.
No,
But
no, no. I think that will
a lot of
resonate
it's
with
been where
people.
I've been at
I think
recently
it.
for the
Yeah.
last month. So
I think it resonates with people. People, like you say, stop doing the social activities that they enjoy. They stop going out with for their, for brunch with their mates or for for
and
dinner with their
withdrawing is
raff.
another big sign. If you're withdrawing from things you used to do
Yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
and not necessarily because you chose to and you just don't want to do it. It's just a barrier or an angst that's instantly. I just don't want to go and do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not necessarily because you're like done with it. It's not like getting to 40-ish. I think like we did, maybe a bit younger, and we got done with partying.
Partied
Right?
out.
Yeah, that was like we just got done with it. Right? That's
Yeah.
kind of different when you find yourself just not going to things anymore and not really wanting to socialize and not really wanting to be around people. That's another big fucking warning sign that you're drawing away from everything. And just be aware that can only probably get worse because we need interaction. We need other people,
Yeah.
regardless. Even someone as unsociable and someone who doesn't really like people like as much as me needs fucking people. I need
Yeah.
some things, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, a friend of ours who Amar,
Yeah, yeah.
tried to get me to go to the Venus reunion the other
Oh,
week. And
wow.
a load of all our old work colleagues were going and
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
I imagine.
As it happens, I wasn't local. I was away. I was working away, and I was like, I'm not fucking going to that. Not
No.
a chance. That is, it was a great time.
Yeah, yeah.
It was left 20 years ago. Nice one. He didn't go. He said, I'd have gone if you were going. I said,
Yeah,
absolutely forget it. But you're right. Withdrawal from situations, overwhelming. It's common. We're hearing this all the time, and I think we're talking to Joe Public here today. But equally, we're talking to our fellow practitioners, aren't we? Because
oh yeah,
we're the ones who that people turn to for help. But actually, we're getting overwhelmed as well. We're getting stressed. We've
yeah,
got
yeah,
personal life issues or business issues or financial challenges or all that kind of stuff. So it's whether it's a trainer listening in right now or a member of the public. It doesn't matter. I think most people that we agreed, didn't we, before we came on? The minute you say to someone right now, "How's it going?" "Oh, great. How are you getting on? How's work?" "Yeah, busy, really busy, non-stop." How's your personal life?" "I've got this going on. I've got that going on," and it just seems to be that it's very rare that you ever, anyone sort of says, "Oh yeah, I'm chilled. Oh, I'm not. I'm
yeah,
not doing. I'm
yeah, I've
not
got no
doing
worries,
much."
got no issues.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time somebody's. Of course, there's always going to be some issues in life, and that's life. We'll always have some challenges, health of our family members, or a dispute in our family, or whatever. There's always something, but I just can't really remember. It's almost like we're wearing it like a badge of honor now as well. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm busy. I'm working non-stop. I don't sleep. I'm fucking grinding away. But I'm a soldier. I'm getting through it, and it's like, nah, not cool. That.
no, and I think like and I think men. This has always been a stigma of men, right?
Yeah,
The whole, and it's something we probably need to try and change. But it's like we obviously only show people what you want people to see.
yeah,
So no one's showing you what's going on the inside, and you're with the likes of social media and things. I mean, sometimes people post things. I'm like, and maybe I do it, and people see some stuff I read every now and again. They're like, "Fuck, are you okay? Like this is not like you, right?" So I can read into some things, but by and large, people are only posting positive stuff, work-based stuff, or whatever. So you only see in that part of someone's life everything looks great.
yeah,
You only see, like me walking around this fucking gym, everything looks great. Like, well, what's he got to worry about? Like, well, a lot. But
yeah,
if I fucking go on social media every day going on about how hard life is and how hard fucking running a business is
yeah,
and how much fucking money you're making or losing and like no one wants to fucking hear any of that. So you kind of cover it up. And when you start having, when you are getting overwhelmed, it's really not an easy thing to explain. I think that's the difficult part. I've started reading this book, and I can't remember the name of the guy that wrote it. It's called Unstoppable, and he's actually the guy. If anyone follows like Bedros Koulian and listens to all his stuff, I didn't realize this is the guy that actually helped Bedros Koulian through his like midlife crisis, panic attack. Bedros Koulian talks about a lot of that in his book. Doesn't actually say who helped him with it. This guy did, and he's also was an ex-trainer, trained famous people. So he kind of comes from a fitness background
yeah.
as
Who
well.
is who is that? I'm gonna have to look that up. That's annoying. Carry on talking. I'm gonna
Yeah,
look it
I've got.
up.
So but it's I'm only like a few chapters in, but
It's not Tim Grover, is it? Because he wrote
no,
one
it's not Tim
called.
Grover because I read all of his stuff. I can't remember the name of the guy. The book's called Unstoppable. And I found it by accident. I was only when I started listening to it, the Bedros Koulian connection. I listened to a lot of his stuff as well. And then it happened to be that he was a fitness guy in his early days before he started building all his businesses. So I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot I can relate to here, which is quite nice. Sometimes you get a book and you've got no fucking idea what they're talking about and you don't relate to any of it. But I forgot what the fuck I
What's he
was
look
saying.
like, the guy?
I don't know. I've just got the audio book.
Yeah, because there's a
I'll
few.
find it
Because yeah,
later.
there's one. Because there's one there. Just look. There's one by a guy called Ben Angel or Angel Ben Angel, an Australian guy, but I don't think it's him.
No, it's not. It's not. No.
He's recent,
Um,
but yeah, I mean, for me, it's about the bigger question is what do you do about it? What do you do
yeah,
about it? Every one of us is going to get overwhelmed at some point. Every one of us is going to get a feeling of stress or a little feeling of anxiety at some point. And like we said earlier,
Craig Valentine. Sorry,
oh yeah,
Craig
God,
Valentine.
he's been around for years.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah,
So I was trying
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
cross these things, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he wrote you will have come across him. He wrote something many years ago called Turbulence Training. And
Right.
he'd been around for many years.
Yeah,
Interestingly, and that kind of lends me to this thing about what you do about it. And you've already mentioned how we don't talk. American dudes, and particularly these coaches, maybe I'm going off on one here now, but they all, Craig Ballantyne and Bedros and people like that, they're all pals. They all piss in the same pot. They're all mates who
yeah,
promote it. Not only do they help each other, there's another guy, what's he called? Garrett J.
yeah,
Wyatt and all those kind of people. Not only do they help each other, but they promote each other as well.
Yeah.
Whereas us Brits tend to just like stick to ourselves and be like, oh, I don't. I'm not going to tell anyone how I'm feeling, and I'm not going to help anyone. I'm not really going to promote anyone.
No, that's a really good point. I didn't think of that because I think sometimes when people go down similar paths, even if they're friends, and I guess this is where me and you are going. We can relate to this, right? We're doing in theory similar-ish things when it comes to what we both talk about on this podcast and business advice and where we're taking it from, especially health and mental health advice.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, this guy helped Bedros build his fitness business as like um, as like a business consultant, and now
Mm-hmm.
Bedros is now a business consultant doing his thing, charging
Mm-hmm.
X amount of money, But they're still friends. They still network. They still do things together, and they're still
Yeah.
promoting their businesses. And they both do similar things now, as far but in different ways, right? So the two things can align. You can be running your mentoring program and teaching people about business, and I can be doing the same sort of thing, and we can be backing each other up and supporting each other. And it's not a negative thing. It's not
Yeah.
competition. No one's trying
Yeah.
to outdo each other. And I think trying to get that, because I know in the personal training world and how I felt a lot, and I don't know if there's other personal trainers who have. I know quite a few personal trainers who have opened up gyms like mine off the back of UP. I could probably name five or six. Everyone, I don't know how well everybody's doing. They all look like they're doing great, which is really good to see. But there's no connection really between
Yeah.
any of us, and we're all a bit
Yeah.
too scared to be honest. So I still talk to one or two here and then. It's like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, business is good. And I don't know if we're all fucking lying or if business is really good. I can only read into it a bit. I mean, I've seen a couple of my friends open a second location recently, which
Yeah.
is good. Let's assume that owning a second location is a positive thing, and that's going to be successful. But like, yeah, none of us fucking talk honestly. None of us are like, okay, when we're in the trenches, when things are going, what are you guys doing? What are you? Because it becomes competition,
Yeah.
even though technically it's not. Like, okay, I have a gym in Hong Kong, and technically it's competition, around the other gyms in Hong Kong. So I kind of get that. But then in LA, I know people have got gyms in Australia. I know people have got gyms all over the world. But even we're a bit closeted and don't want to say, "Hey, I'm fucking struggling.
Yeah.
What did you guys do?
Well,
How's your business going? What do you
we
do to draw more
we
business?"
we've got a culture of stiff upper lip, haven't we?
Yeah,
Just like get on with it, and
yeah.
Brits are tough and all that kind of stuff.
But I think sometimes you don't want to reach out and ask these questions because if you do, it's almost like I'm admitting that we're struggling.
Yeah.
If I reach out to another gym owner who runs a very similar business to me and go, "Hey, how are you getting your leads nowadays? What are you using? Are you still getting most stuff from Facebook? What are you finding is the latest trends for your gym?" First of all, they might not want to tell me because they might be like, "Well, why would I want to help your business?" I'm like, "Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're nowhere near each other. Like, what's the
Yeah.
fucking problem?"
Yeah.
But also at the same time, on my side of being the one asking, it's like, well, I'm basically telling you that we're struggling.
Hmm.
Do with that what you will, and then depending on how much you maybe do or don't trust the individual, are they going to be honest with their advice? Do they actually really want to say, "Hey, look, this is what we've been doing, it's fucking really working well for us, I'd suggest you give that a go," or are they just going to fob you off a little bit and you're not going to find help? So I think that's something we potentially need to get better at as I guess as probably I guess as newer business owners, because I think that's what we kind of believe that we go into in the business and it's like, right, it's all on us. Everyone else is competition. There's no working together to help build or grow an industry. And what you've just said there, I never even thought about. Yeah, there's all these people that when you actually connect the dots that are running, those, I guess, I don't even know what you call what they do. It's business advice, but it's very much lifestyle. It's very much how to just be a successful individual because it's a lot of advice on health and routine and things to just to better yourself, right? But there's
Yeah.
so many of those people doing that right now, but they all know each other.
Yep.
They're all bringing each other up.
Yep.
Right? Bedros makes fucking fortunes. It's not like, but the other guy was already making lots of money. It's not like when he said, "Hey, I'm going to do something similar to you." He went, "Well, why? What do you mean you're going to copy everything I've taught you?" It's like, no, you're already doing well. Bringing someone else up and them doing well as well, just in theory helps everybody do well. But I think
Yeah.
we have to catch on to that mindset a little bit better and not be so closeted and competitive. And if I give away what I do, is that a problem? Why is it a
Yeah.
problem if I explain what the
It's
fuck I do in my gym?
it's a very British culture. It's a very
Yeah,
British culture of being stoic and being tough, and part of that is don't communicate, get on with it, get your head down, all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you look at the culture in certain other countries, it is much more. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk about it. Let's collaborate rather than compete. You know, if you win,
yeah,
I win. If I win, you win. All that kind of stuff. And I absolutely. I think some of it with some of the dudes is a bit fucking cheesy. It's a bit cheese on toast. Some of it, or publicly.
100%.
But I do think that they do help each other. I think they help each other far better than Brits do.
Yeah,
And for me, I think you touched on it. You've touched on it a couple of times. People is the solution. People is the solution to have people to talk to. Sometimes that's to unload on, but then equally that person sometimes is going to say, okay, look, I fucking hear you. I hear you. You've unloaded. Now, actually, what are you going to do about it? What's your action plan? Sometimes those people will call you out if you're bullshitting yourself or if your story is a bit off. They'll hold you accountable. They'll support you. I think I've just said that. But then equally, and this is the big one, they'll promote you.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it, you know, there's been all kinds of memes about this, about supporting the small business, hasn't there, rather than
yeah,
supporting the celeb you see on TV or the influencer or the global fucking mega company that
yeah.
you're promoting. Will actually support your mates
I
small
don't need that.
business.
I know. I know. We've
Yeah,
talked about this before, and it's ironic you bring that up. Because I see it on social media all the time, and I'm sure you do, and you kind of just have to ignore it. And I kind of get it. You're promoting your business, and maybe people are not as interested in that post versus a lifestyle post, or we're hanging out with my friend's post, and da-da. So you get X amount of likes for something that's totally irrelevant to your business. And look, likes don't make you money.
yeah,
It's not, doesn't matter. I'm putting that out for a different reason. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
yeah.
But when your friends are just not liking any of your business stuff, you kind of like, okay, because I may have said this a few weeks ago, but I'm like, if you don't want to support my business, you don't really support me.
Correct,
Like, go hand in hand, right? And
correct.
I will go out of my way because it takes not even a second. I don't know how many fucking pages you've got, a million. Fucking now, don't know. It's like Rick Mullen, this maps, this. There's so many, and a lot of it you transfer, right? As part of the game, you put the same post on all the different channels. And I don't ever think I've seen this one and I liked it on
Yeah,
Instagram. So I'm not gonna
yeah,
like it. I just click fucking like. I know it
yeah.
means nothing as far as you making any more money, but it's just my way of, if you're ever taking a quick look at who's liking your stuff, you can see I support what you're doing.
Absolutely,
That's
yeah,
what I care about. And when you're doing it for everyone else's business, and maybe that's not how other people see social media. That's me being a bit old school, but I've got other friends with businesses and I like all their stuff. I might not even know anything about their business. I just know that the way, in some ways, social media works, and some people can probably shut off to it. As much as people go, I don't give a fuck who likes my stuff or not, you probably do.
they
And
do,
you probably do look at the number,
they
and when
do.
the number's low, you're a bit like, "Ah, fuck, that was a shit post. Why did no one like that?" And it could have just been the timing, algorithm, whatever. Who fucking knows,
Yeah,
right? But I also know it makes an individual feel a bit better, especially if they're doing business stuff, because
yeah.
that's how they make a living.
Or if they're having a bad day that day or whatever.
Supporting their families, which is another thing. Like, okay, you know, people can go, well, look at your fucking expensive looking gym. What's it matter to you? You're doing great. Like, am I? Do you know I'm
Mm,
doing great?
mm.
Versus someone like you who, has family, has a kid to support, so that your business is not even just about you. It's
Yep.
about supporting family and Liam and all that sort of stuff. And you kind of like, I know if those few extra likes make you feel like your business is doing better and people have got more eyes on it, why is it? That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
That makes
I
someone feel
agree.
good for a fucking day. Versus, okay, I've just got so many likes. I posted something fucking dumb. Versus, no one gives a fuck about my business. Like, okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Um, so I've become a little bit more aware of that stuff. I don't dwell on it so much, but I'm just kind of like, okay, that's
Yeah,
fine. I remember that when you set your business up, and
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I'll
people are
never be a
do.
dick about it. I'll just be like, okay, let's
Yeah,
one day when we have a discussion and you realize how much maybe that meant to people, and it's a tiny little fucking thing.
oh,
And if it means nothing, it means nothing. But it costs me nothing to do.
yeah. I mean, people are doing what is best for them at that moment in time. But if they could step back and just have a little bit of a broader thought process. The one that's always got me, and you're right, you let it go, and it's water off a duck's back or whatever. But it's like you say, when you promote something that's particularly about business, and
Mm.
then like somebody that tells you they're a friend will put a piss take comment underneath it, or
Yeah, yeah.
a negative comment, and they'll badge it up as banter, and oh, it's just
Do that on my
banter.
personal. Do that on a personal post, right? Because that's where we can have some banter, right? Because I'm sure you've done it to me, and I've done it everything with you. Like the amount you've done some things, and I've almost been like, "Oh, I can have some banter on this," but I'm like, "No, that's his business page."
Yep.
Because we write things and we know each other more personally and individually. Like, see what you're writing versus, you know, I don't want to say it contradicts, you as a person because that's not true. But I might know something that could be funny to that statement, which
Yeah,
no one
but
else will get.
but I don't burn. By the way, I don't
That's
burn.
exactly things like that. I mean, if you ever talk about
I
something in
don't
your
burn.
business, then But
So if I talk about sunbathing,
yeah,
just so we're clear, I don't burn.
if you come up with
That's a
a
private joke, innit?
yeah, but if you move into the suntan lotion business one day. But I would call that's the name for your brand. I don't burn. In
I
fact,
mean,
if
there's some if
I'm building a
there's
business for you
there's
there,
something
like,
in it. There's something in it, mate. There's something in
you
it.
make money.
Definitely, definitely.
But no, I think that you're right. That's another one. That's 100%. Like when people can't even distinguish that. Look, this guy. This is him trying to promote his business. Now's not the time for me to come up with some personal joke that no one else is going to get on that post.
But don't you think, though, mate? And this lends us back to the whole stress, overwhelm thing. People are just sedating themselves now. They're sedating themselves with drugs, drink, and one of the big things they're sedating themselves with is social media. So
Yeah,
I feel fucking crap. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. This, that, the other. I've got loads going on. So I'm going to make myself feel a bit better by going on social media, consuming some stuff. I'm writing some bullshit comments on my mates'
yeah,
posts.
yeah,
And to me, it's almost like I'm going off on one, but almost a bit like a dumbing down of our mindset, a dumbing down of our resilience,
yeah,
of our ability to perform at peak level and all that kind of stuff. And I look at all of our habits and go and drawing this podcast back in. I
mm-hmm.
look at the fact that we're busy all the time, which is how we started. But what's people's daily screen time? 5, 6 hours a day,
And
every day.
I was I was doing education. I'm fucking pointing to the gym. But anyway, I was doing education with the team, and we were talking about time the other day, and I used that exact thing. Like, because I don't believe people have time issues. I believe
Priority issues.
people have priority and organizational issues. I think you can
Yeah,
make time if you really want it. And I think when
yeah,
people blame time, fucking pardon the pun, I have no time for that because I'm kind of like, well, I know people that do way more than you with the same amount of time. So what is actually the problem? And while some people are much busier, have longer days at work than others, we can still try and prioritize time. And like you said, screen time. Now I know it's bits here and there. It's difficult to define, but fuck, when you get that update on a Sunday, I
yeah.
don't know if everyone gets it on a Sunday. I seem to get weekly screen time. I wish I could fucking turn it off, and it comes up at like 4, 5, whatever hours, and I'm like, the fuck. And now some of that, and because I'm slow at fucking editing videos and shit, is gonna be me actually doing some work, posting things for work.
Yeah, yeah,
But at the same time, 90% of it is just mindless scrolling,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, I make an effort going back to the comments thing. I don't really comment much on anyone's posts, but for that reason, a lot of it's business based, so I'm supporting that. And even if it's a personal post, it's kind of rare because I also know other people are going to see it. And if I want to have a personal joke, it's like, maybe I would do that more on a story because it just goes direct to you and like Jonesy's just posted about fucking being at the ski. What's the other big ski ramp thing
Oh,
in?
yeah, I've sort of that, which is near my house, and he always complains that he never sees me. But
But
I
it's,
mean,
yeah,
he's skiing
yeah,
on the indoor slopes round the corner from
that's
my
right. Yeah.
house.
So
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
having a personal joke there, but I did it on his story, so it's just direct to him. I don't. No one else needs to fucking get involved in that, because before you know it, it's like you don't. The thing with social media, we should comment positive things without a doubt, but I think sometimes in person jokes and things, it's like you don't know how other people read that you don't know on social media, or people that follow him or you or whoever that are reading that stuff and being like, what the fuck's all this about? Like, and it's different. The people that are doing it to set up controversy and they want all this controversy in their business type thread. Fine. Again, that's not for me. I don't want to. I'm not writing things to create arguments and just have
yeah,
everyone
yeah, yeah.
arguing in
To
the
be
background.
diversive and stuff.
Not
Yeah,
my thing. But yeah, no. Social media
yeah.
has everything great, but it is a hindrance. And I think coming back to the feeling overwhelmed, it's like, yeah. I mean, part of being overwhelmed is unfortunately comparison, and the way we compare ourselves nowadays is through social media. Like,
Mm,
the people I guess in some ways compare myself less to are the people I actually converse with on a weekly basis, right? Probably and real friends. Like, I don't compare myself to you. I don't compare myself to any of the real friends, people I talk to. But I talk to you guys on a weekly basis that know what's going on in our lives to a certain degree. Whereas I think what people that are running businesses are doing, unfortunately for all of us, and it makes it very difficult, is we're looking at everyone else's business on social media and we just
yeah.
assume that everybody else's business
It's
is making
peachy.
fucking fortunes and
Everything's
doing well, and
peachy. Yeah,
yours is
yeah,
the only one that's struggling. And
yeah.
it's like, well, no, probably
So,
90%
yeah.
struggling.
So that's when feelings of inadequacy kick in and all that kind of stuff. And I
Oh,
think,
the amount of
yeah,
times I've been like, what the fuck am I doing wrong?
what am I doing?
And
Yeah,
I've been in
yeah,
this
yeah,
business my whole life. What am I missing? If anyone knows about gyms and the personal training business and stuff, it's me. But does it mean I'm nailing it? Does it mean I'm making millions of fucking dollars? No.
hmm
It's hard. It's a fucking struggle. It's very rewarding.
yeah,
It has its moments.
yeah,
Yeah, there's times I sit here going, do I really know what I'm doing? I've spent my whole life in this industry, and yet people that have been doing it 5 years, 10 years seem to be doing way better at it than me. And that's a
yeah,
shit comparison because again, they're coming in from a different generation, using
yeah,
different tools with
yeah,
different ideas, and that's where again you have to be kind of like, right, okay, as I've got older, is my gym model in alignment with what I believe gyms should be now versus 20 years ago, versus
hmm
guys that are setting up gyms in their 20s and 30s now, and their belief and alignment in what a gym is, what training is, and what health is maybe a bit
yeah,
different than mine.
yeah,
I can't be following the crowd and being like, well, this is what makes gyms popular now, because it might not be me, it might not be what I enjoy, it might not be what I even believe in. If it isn't, and I'm only doing it to make money, I'm just going to add even more stress, and I have to keep trying
yeah,
to draw myself back to the main reason I do this, the main reason I love what I do for a business as far as a gym, and try and stay as close to that path as possible and make as much money as possible and make it successful that way, keeping it as close to me as I possibly can. And if that's not enough and not good enough, then so be it. Because I don't think going the other path is going to make you happy either, even if it makes you a bit more.
Well, I think when you do that, you're going to lead to unhappiness. You might get some short term pleasure, but ultimately you're not being true to yourself. And true when you're not true to yourself, eventually that will lead to conflict. And
Yeah,
and we conflict is not just external. Conflict is more often than not is internal, isn't it?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
we've sort of
exactly.
touched on before.
Yeah,
So I think when you see people making fast cash and it's not true to them and all that, eventually that's going to grind to a halt. In my opinion, I mean, the whole thing fascinates me. The whole thing of stress and overwhelm and being busy and all that kind of stuff. It fascinates me. It fascinates me about people's habits and their behaviors and like I look at it and I look at it, if I was to offer one solution,
I was just going to say, like,
one
we
solution.
haven't offered a solution to any of this yet. Just,
Do I
especially,
have a solution? I'm
I've
not
just
sure I
talked
do.
about
I
how
do.
what the problems. But yeah, I
I,
think to bring it together, I was just going to ask you what if anything are your two or three
I,
go
I,
tos for either
I,
you or to help people? What would you say?
I did this post of the day, didn't I? And that you
Yeah,
mentioned about training programs don't work, mindset programs don't work. So I think that would be my first step. Is that you've got the two are mutually exclusive for me. So I think people most of the time accept. They don't always truly deeply accept it because they don't always do it. But I think if you ask most people, you'd say, "Look, is exercise good for you?" They'd be like, yeah, okay. Do you enjoy it? Some would say yes, some would say no. Same with healthy eating. Is healthy eating good for you? Yeah. Do you always enjoy it? Some yes, some no. People tend to know in terms of the physicality stuff. uh, Sleep, they tend to know it's good for you.
yeah,
Drinking water is good for you. All that kind of stuff. But then when it comes to the mindset piece, people will talk about, because I believe that the two are totally, as I've said, they're not mutually exclusive. They're totally intertwined together. If you want a stronger mindset, you've definitely got to train. If you want to be physically fitter, faster, stronger, you've got to develop your mindset as well. I believe that the stresses of life aren't going away, but I also believe, and this links with this mindset thing, I also believe a lot of these issues are self caused.
yeah,
Now, I'm not saying that somebody with a serious mental health disorder or serious
no,
challenges in their life, I'm not diminishing any of that. But what I am saying is, um, if you're telling me you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, yet you're doing 6 hours a day on your social media, then you are causing a big part of that stress and
yeah,
overwhelm. You absolutely are, and so I think you've got to work on your physicality. I think that there's no question about that. And of course, as well as I do, far better than I do. There's definitely optimum ways to train. There's definitely optimum ways to fuel your body, to recover your body, all that kind of stuff. And I think you've got to be doing something every day, because training is good for you physiologically. It's good for your brain. It keeps your brain healthy. It de-stresses you. We know all this, and it breaks your state. And
yeah.
and and when I see people on social media when they're training, I'm like, fuck
Oh, yeah,
off, fuck
yeah.
off, stop doing that.
Just take an hour off and
Just
just
have a break. Just have a break. Have an hour off. So for me, that's personally. But then when you're talking about working on your mindset, because you've got to do that as well. Well, actually, what does that look like? And for me, one of the biggest things now, if you talk about um, overwhelm and stress, is decluttering. And
yeah,
and to do that, you've got to hold your boundaries. And
yeah,
listen, two of my really good friends have messaged me in the last 2 days. One of them sending me some shit meme that he sends me all the time in my inbox, right? He sends me all these memes all the time. And because I didn't respond to it, he was like, "What's wrong?"
yeah,
And I said, eventually I replied on my terms, because I was doing something at the time. I was
yeah,
busy. I was trying to get a task done and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And I said, mate, I'm busy. I'm focused on what I'm doing. Um, you can send me these memes all you like. It doesn't mean I'm always going to reply to them.
yeah.
And he's a good guy, right? And you know him. He's a great guy. And he was like, all right, yeah, sorry.
I know it's hard, isn't it? When I think, I've had to sometimes remind myself, especially, if I know who it is and what it is that they've likely sent, then like, sometimes I just to not open it until I've got time to respond.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
you shouldn't have to, but because of the way it's all social media, particularly, I know we keep coming back to fucking harping on social media, but it's that immediacy. I
People
send
want a reply like that.
a response, and it's like because I feel bad. Sometimes I open something like shit, and then I don't respond straight away, and then I feel
Yeah,
bad a few hours later, and I'm
yeah.
always like, sorry I didn't respond earlier, but
But
because
you've
but
got
also
to, you've got to hold your boundaries, and
yeah.
I think this is massive, and I think this is one of the biggest problems now is people don't have an on and off switch anymore, and then they're
No,
wondering why they can't sleep, or then they're wondering why they're anxious and overthinking and
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. Is because it used to be, the amount of people I see, and listen, I'm not perfect, I'm guilty of all of these things myself at
oh, we
times.
all are, right?
We
But it's
all are. We
at
all
least
are.
being more aware of it. I think is always step one, and are you
Yeah.
doing things to also see if that works? Because I think, like you just said, I'll let you finish in a second, but I think when you talk about fitness from a physical point of view and nutrition and stuff, like you said, everybody's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's good for me. Whether I do it or not, I know it's good for me. But when it comes to the mental sort of health side of things and the things we could do, a lot of it's still in some ways quite new.
Mm,
So if someone says, "Is meditation good for you?" It's like, I don't know, maybe for the right person. I can't say it's as big a guarantee as just exercising,
mm.
because exercising will do X, Y, and Z. Meditation for one might be great for one person, shit for another. Jumping in cold
Me,
pools, all these things that
all
people
that,
like,
all that,
we
all
can
that.
say they're good for you, but does it help the issue that someone's having mentally? And I think where you're about to go, there's more to it than just doing those type of things.
Absolutely. And another mate of mine sent me a podcast of one of the big name podcasts, the big name podcast, and he was like, "I want your opinion on the guest. I want your opinion on what he said in the podcast." I was like, first off, it's over 2 hours long, that podcast. I ain't gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch it. I might get to have it in the background, whatever. This, that, the other. But and this is my friend, by the way. He's one of my closest friends in the world, and I love him dearly. But I'm
Yeah, yeah,
like, I'm not here to clog my mind up with debates on fucking calories. I'm sorry, I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not. What I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. If it's a work thing, and I'll have that debate in my group on a Monday, 7 p.m. with my inner circle,
yeah.
and we'll have that debate. And
Like
I'll have
you've
that debate
got
with
value to that time of going, right, okay, why am I
absolutely.
going to listen to that podcast? Am I only listening to that podcast to give you feedback?
Yeah,
Or does the podcast genuinely interest me? I get the
yeah.
same thing. People will send me all sorts of stuff, listen to this.
What do you think of this? What do you think of
Some I
that?
listen to, some I don't, because the bottom line is it doesn't matter what I think if I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
Like if
So
this guy's going to bore me to shit for an
yeah,
hour,
yeah.
I
You,
don't have an opinion. And
you,
also, you might not like my opinion, so, you know.
mate, you've got to hold your boundaries. But then I think that for me, the biggest one, going back to this declutter thing, is remembering, and this is the final thing that I've got, is that remembering that these things are designed to engage you. They're designed to make you addicted. They're designed to draw you in. They're designed for you to use them all the time. Now, God forbid, what the fuck did we ever do before a step count on our phone? Well, what we used to do was go for a walk. And what we used to do was go for a run, or we'd lift weights or whatever. Now we have to have a metric for everything. And there's an irony that I literally a few days ago read a article that had reviewed some of the, I'm sat here one of them daft watches on right now, and
Yeah,
it had reviewed them all, and it had looked at all the big names, recovery, strain, this, that, the other, all the different terms that some of them use. The rings use one, the bands use another. They use different terms, don't they? All that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it said, "Do you know what was the best mechanism still of analysing whether you'd had a great session in the gym or not? Taking a second, self-scanning, and going, how do I feel?"
How did it make you feel? Yeah, and no watch can fucking do that.
Nope.
There's no watch or fucking integrated thing that's going to be like that was really good for you mentally.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And again, what's a good workout for one might not be a good workout for another. But I think once you train, and this is why I talk a lot about training, and finding types of training that you love, because at least if you love the training, you might not love every session because sometimes
Yeah.
you just feel like it, but you know what you need for a session to feel successful in your mind,
Yeah.
and then that's what helps you actually feel better, right?
Mate,
What is the markers in the workout that make you go,
absolutely.
that was productive?
Take it back to the pen and paper days. Uh, uh, I've had a brain freeze. Take it back to the pen and paper days. The things that are designed to help you
Yeah,
to 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 make your life better are actually making it worse. The things that are designed to de-stress you are
crazy,
actually
right?
stressing you out more. And the statement I've got, I might have said it on here before, is that today's solutions have become tomorrow's problems.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a great way to fucking end, right? I think that is the natural, I guess, evolution of everything, right? So, you know, you've got me thinking, because in some ways, everyone's looking to create the next business, right? What is the next evolution of gyms, personal training, whatever, and coming up with a new business idea is always about solving a problem, which is
Yep,
really interesting, because now if you break down what problems technology is causing people in their lives, there's an in to like, right, okay, how can we offset some of that? Because
yep,
technology is going nowhere.
yep,
All the things you've discussed is going nowhere. But
yep.
how do we balance that out before it goes so far the other way that everyone's fucked up? We've got to have solutions to all this.
I think people are fucked, and I think the time to balance it is now.
Well, we've always been fucked, so I mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah, mate. I last year,
just,
mate, last year, and obviously I'm aware we're going to wrap up now,
yeah,
but I went, and this was a game changer for me because I kind of knew all this. You know it all. We kind of know all this. But last year, this time last year, early April, I went on a retreat. I was really blessed to be invited by some friends of mine who were in the military, and they invited me to this retreat out in Wales in the middle of nowhere. And do you know what we did for 4 days? Nothing.
yeah,
We just walked, talked, made food, chilled out,
yeah.
and that I really started to implement it then into my life. I kind of knew it, but I was like, it was a game changer, and I saw the value in. Do you know what? I don't have to track my fucking workout today. I
Yeah.
don't have to log this. I don't have to do that. Fuck it. I'm gonna simplify my life.
Well, it reminds you of the value of, like you just said, doing the simple things. Right now we've got to the point where I can't enjoy. If you're that busy, you can't enjoy those things, right? You know, if I've got time, I can enjoy strolling with the dogs for fucking ages. But 99% of the time, it's like, come on, round the block, fucking
Yep.
do your fucking things. I've got to get off, right? And
Yep.
that's not really enjoyable. Food, I hate making food, but most of us don't like it. But if you were put in an environment where all you're doing all day is walking, chilling, and everyone's like, okay, we're going to make food now. Okay, well, I'll help with this. I'll do this. You do
Yep.
that. And all of a sudden,
Yep.
you're in something that
Yep.
I would normally be like, I fucking hate cooking. I hate it. But if I'm in an environment where there's nothing else to do, it's
You
like,
in?
well,
Yeah.
I may as well get involved. And actually, I'm enjoying this because I'm in the moment just doing this. I'm
Yep.
not making food for or putting something together quickly as a means to an end. I need to eat, because I need to go and do this, and then I need to do that. And we, like you said, we just don't enjoy the simple things anymore.
Yep.
And there's a solution to speed now. Everything can be delivered. Everything, you don't have to do anything yourself anymore
Yep.
if you don't want to. Everything can be done for you, right? And then what? So you just don't do anything anymore. You don't do anything for yourself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's freeing up time to work.
Yep.
I'll get my food delivered. I'll get this done. I'm like, why are you freeing up all your time just to work more? Like, I want to free up my time to work less.
Yeah.
Like, that's your
To live
goal.
more. To
There
live
you go.
more.
But I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are using all this stuff to actually do more of those things,
Absolutely.
not actually freeing up your time to create more life. But anyway, I can go on again for a whole other podcast on that sort of stuff. So that's been an hour or so. Let's wrap up there. But I think that was really good, and it's the two insights from you at the end are golden again as usual. So very helpful for me, but also hopefully for a lot of other people.
Yep. It's been good. On that note, it's Friday morning where you are, Friday 5:15 where I am. It's time to go and live life, innit? So
Yeah,
we'll leave it there.
Go and train, and then maybe I'll finish work.
Yeah, it's nearly 10 a.m., mate. It's nearly your training slot, isn't it? Or whatever time zone is now. So, guys, as always, thanks for listening. I'm Jon. I'm Ric. This is Jon. We don't need to take a blooper out. It shows that we do it all as we see it.
None of us know how to fucking edit, so to be honest.
Yeah, fuck that. But it's been great to talk to you, mate. And we've been the Winning Edge podcast. As always, see you soon.
And please do subscribe. Thank you.
See you later.